The conference room at Quantum Defense Solutions fell silent as Michael Thompson finished his presentation. 20 pairs of eyes darted between him and me, waiting to see how I'd react to his latest attempt to diminish my work. I kept my expression neutral, fingers quietly typing notes on my laptop. Notes that would prove very interesting to the Pentagon's review committee on Monday. My name is Dr. Sarah Martinez, and this is the story of how my boss's attempt to steal credit for my work ended up changing the future of military technology, just not in the way he expected. As I was saying, Michael continued, his $3,000 suit barely containing his ego. My innovative approach to quantum encryption will revolutionize military communications. The Pentagon clearly agrees, which is why we're finalizing the contract next week. He clicked to the next slide, showing complex quantum algorithms that I had developed over the past 2 years. My algorithms, my innovations, my work. Of course, he added with a smirk in my direction, some team members insisted on pursuing alternative approaches, outdated methodologies. Sometimes people with theoretical backgrounds don't understand real-world applications. A few of my colleagues shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They knew he was referring to my background in theoretical physics and my obsession with pure mathematical modeling, approaches he had repeatedly dismissed as impractical. What Michael didn't know, what none of them knew, was exactly who I was before joining Quantum Defense Solutions 3 years ago. I let my mind drift back to that first interview. I had deliberately downplayed my credentials, mentioning only my PhD in theoretical physics from MIT, not the decade I spent as a classified research lead at Los Alamos National Laboratory. Not the patents under different project names, not the papers published under pseudonyms. We need practical solutions, Michael had said during that interview, barely glancing at my resume. Not academic theories. I had nodded, accepted the lower-level position, and started working. I had my reasons for keeping a low profile, reasons that would become very clear to everyone on Monday. The truth was, I had chosen Quantum Defense Solutions very carefully. Their work in quantum encryption was promising but flawed. They had the resources and connections to develop something revolutionary, but they were missing crucial theoretical foundations. Foundations I had spent years developing in classified government labs. For 2 years, I worked quietly, introducing my ideas as suggestions and theoretical possibilities. I wrote detailed documentation of every development, every breakthrough, every line of code. Most importantly, I documented every time Michael dismissed my work publicly, only to later incorporate my theoretical solutions into his presentations. Thanks to my leadership, Michael was saying now, gesturing at the complex equations on the screen. We're weeks away from securing a $50 million defense contract. This will put Quantum Defense Solutions at the forefront of military communication security. I typed another note, 11:47 a.m. Thompson claims direct credit for quantum entanglement protocol design. Reference. Original documentation dated 18 months prior, page 147 of submission to Pentagon. The meeting continued with Michael outlining his vision for the company's future. Every few minutes, he would throw another subtle dig at my work, my approach, my contributions. Each time, I added to my notes, cross-referencing with the extensive documentation I had submitted directly to the Pentagon's review committee. What Michael didn't realize was that his presentation today was the final piece I needed, the final proof of systematic intellectual theft and credit misappropriation. "Any questions?" Michael asked, concluding his presentation with a self-satisfied smile. I raised my hand, keeping my voice professionally neutral. "Could you clarify the basis for the quantum entanglement protocol? The mathematical foundation seems familiar." His smile tightened slightly. "The technical details aren't important right now. What matters is that my design works." "Of course," I said softly. "I just thought the approach looked similar to the one I proposed last year. The one you said was too theoretical to be practical." The room temperature seemed to drop a few degrees. Michael's face flushed, but he recovered quickly. "Sarah," he said, his condescension cranked to maximum, "I know you mean well, but this is precisely why we need strong leadership to turn abstract theories into real solutions. Not everyone understands the complexity of military contracts." I smiled, thinking of the classified projects I had led, the generals I had briefed, the technologies I had developed that were now protecting vital military communications worldwide. "You're right," I said, closing my laptop. Not everyone understands. After the meeting, I retreated to my modest office, deliberately located far from the executive floor. The walls were covered with whiteboards filled with equations, the kind Michael loved to mock as too academic. What he saw as theoretical abstractions were actually the building blocks of the most advanced quantum encryption system ever developed. My phone buzzed. A message from Dr. James Chen at the Pentagon. Documentation received. Everything in place for Monday's review. They won't know what hit them. I looked at the time. 72 hours until the Pentagon's review committee would arrive. 72 hours until Michael's carefully constructed facade would crumble. Linda from HR stopped by my office, concern evident on her face. "Sarah, I heard what happened in the meeting. Michael shouldn't speak to you that way. Maybe I could set up a mediation." I shook my head, smiling. "Don't worry about it, Linda. Everything will sort itself out on Monday." "What happens Monday?" she asked. "The Pentagon's review committee is coming to evaluate the quantum encryption system," I said. "It should be enlightening." After Linda left, I pulled up the complete documentation of my work. Over 500 pages of detailed technical specifications, mathematical proofs, and development histories. Everything meticulously dated, witnessed, and authenticated. 2 years of careful preparation leading to this moment. I thought about Michael's smugness, his casual dismissal of my expertise, his systematic appropriation of my work. In 3 days, he would learn what it means to underestimate the wrong person. Because what he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the Pentagon hadn't chosen Quantum Defense Solutions because of Michael's leadership. They had chosen us because someone at Los Alamos had recognized my work. Someone had seen my fingerprints all over the quantum encryption protocols and had alerted the right people. The defense contract wasn't a certainty, it was contingent on proving the source and validity of the theoretical foundations. Foundations that I had documented in extensive detail long before joining Quantum Defense Solutions. I packed up my laptop, taking one last look at the equations on my whiteboards. In the center was a complex formula, the key to making quantum encryption practical for military applications. Michael had presented it today as his breakthrough innovation. On Monday, he would learn who really held the keys to this kingdom. And as I walked out of the office that evening, I couldn't help but smile at the thought of what was coming. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about revealing the truth in a way that no one can deny or ignore. Monday was going to be very interesting indeed. Monday morning arrived with the kind of clarity that only comes before life-changing moments. I got to the office at 6:00 a.m., well before anyone else. The Pentagon Review Committee would arrive at 9:00 a.m. sharp, and I wanted everything perfect. The conference room looked like a war room, with my technical documentation arranged in precise stacks, each section color-coded and cross-referenced. On the walls, I had mounted clear acrylic boards showing the key quantum encryption algorithms. My original work from Los Alamos, now evolved into something even more powerful. At 8:30, Michael burst into the room, his usual confidence slightly frayed around the edges. "What is all this?" he demanded, gesturing at the documentation. "I prepared the presentation materials yesterday. These are the technical specifications the Pentagon requested," I said calmly, straightening a stack of papers. "The complete development history of the quantum encryption system." His face reddened. "I didn't authorize this." "Remove it immediately." Actually, a new voice said from the doorway. "Those documents are exactly what we're here to review." We turned to see Dr. James Chen from the Pentagon standing there, accompanied by 3 other people I recognized instantly. Dr. Maria Rodriguez, my former supervisor from Los Alamos, General David Harrison, head of military communications security, and Dr. William Turner, the Pentagon's chief of quantum technology research. Michael's demeanor changed instantly, professional smile sliding into place. "Dr. Chen, welcome. I'm Michael Thompson, head of development. I've prepared a comprehensive presentation of my quantum encryption breakthrough." "Your breakthrough?" Dr. Rodriguez interrupted, her eyebrow raised. She turned to me. "Dr. Martinez, it's been a while. 3 years since Los Alamos?" The color drained from Michael's face as he looked between us. "Los Alamos." "Perhaps we should all sit down," I suggested, gesturing to the conference table. "There's quite a bit to discuss." The next hour was one of the most satisfying of my professional life. Dr. Chen began by pulling out a folder containing my original quantum encryption research from Los Alamos. Classified work that had laid the theoretical foundation for everything Quantum Defense Solutions was now trying to sell. 2 years ago, he explained to an increasingly pale Michael, we noticed striking similarities between your company's quantum encryption proposals and classified work previously done by Dr. Martinez at Los Alamos National Laboratory. That's impossible, Michael stammered. Sarah is just a junior researcher. She, Dr. Martinez, General Harrison corrected firmly, holds multiple classified patents in quantum encryption. She led the Quantum Shield project at Los Alamos, developing the theoretical framework that makes quantum-secure military communications possible. Dr. Turner stepped in, pulling up side-by-side comparisons of my original Los Alamos work and the innovations Michael had presented as his own. The quantum entanglement protocols you claim to have developed, he said, pointing to the complex equations. Dr. Martinez published these under a classified designation 3 years before joining your company. The mathematical proofs, the implementation frameworks, they're all her work. Michael's face had turned an alarming shade of gray. I didn't know. Clearly, Dr. Rodriguez said dryly. What's interesting is how these highly classified approaches ended up in your presentations, claimed as your own work. I opened my laptop, pulling up my documented history of the past 2 years. I can help with that, I said, projecting a timeline onto the wall screen. I've maintained detailed records of how my original research was systematically appropriated and presented as original development by Mr. Thompson. The timeline was damning. Every instance of Michael dismissing my theoretical suggestions, followed by him presenting those same ideas as his own breakthroughs. Every meeting where he had taken credit for my work. Every email where he had belittled my expertise while simultaneously stealing it. This is a lie, Michael protested weakly. A conspiracy to undermine my leadership. Actually, Dr. Chen interrupted. This is exactly why we're here. The Pentagon doesn't just want to review the technology. We need to verify its legitimate development history before proceeding with any contracts. General Harrison leaned forward, his voice carrying the weight of decades of military authority. Mr. Thompson, do you understand the severity of presenting classified military technology as your own work? Of attempting to sell security systems based on stolen research? Michael's professional facade cracked completely. I never meant. Sarah, tell them. Dr. Martinez, Dr. Rodriguez corrected again, has already told us everything we need to know. Her documentation is extensive and verified. The next few hours were a blur of technical reviews, legal discussions, and strategic planning. By lunch, Michael had been escorted from the building by security, his access revoked pending a full investigation. But the real surprise came in the afternoon session. Dr. Martinez, General Harrison said, the Pentagon isn't just interested in the encryption system. We want to establish a new quantum security division, combining theoretical research with practical military applications. We'd like you to lead it. I looked at the proposal they laid out. A $200 million contract, 10 times what Michael had been pursuing. Full creative control. A team of the best quantum physicists and engineers in the country. You can stay here at Quantum Defense Solutions if you wish, Dr. Chen added, but as Chief Technology Officer, reporting directly to the board. Or we can help you establish your own company under the defense contract. I thought about the past 2 years, the subtle dismissals, the stolen credit, the professional undermining. Then I thought about the work itself, the breakthroughs still waiting to be made. I'll stay, I decided. This company has good people, good resources. They just needed the right leadership. By the end of the day, everything had changed. The board had convened an emergency session, appointing me as CTO after accepting Michael's immediate resignation. The Pentagon contract was being redrafted, with my name and role prominently featured. As I packed up my office to move to the executive floor, Linda from HR stopped by again. So that's what you meant about Monday, she said, shaking her head in amazement. You knew all along. I smiled, picking up a framed photo of my Los Alamos team. Sometimes the best way to prove your worth isn't by shouting about it. It's by letting others reveal their true character through their actions. The next few weeks were intense but satisfying. The story of Michael's downfall and my revelation spread through the defense technology industry like wildfire. The same executives who had dismissed my theoretical approach now sought my advice on quantum security implementations. 3 months later, I stood in the same conference room where Michael had once mocked my expertise. The walls now displayed the patents and awards I had kept hidden for so long. Around the table sat my new team, brilliant scientists and engineers who shared my vision for the future of quantum security. The fundamental breakthrough, I explained to a room full of engaged faces, isn't just in the quantum encryption itself. It's in understanding that theoretical foundations and practical applications aren't opposing forces. They're essential partners in innovation. As I outlined our next phase of development, I thought about Michael, now facing federal investigations for his attempted appropriation of classified technology. He had been so focused on taking credit that he never stopped to understand what he was stealing. The Quantum Security Division flourished under my leadership, expanding beyond military applications into revolutionary new areas of secure communication. The theories Michael had dismissed as impractical became the backbone of a new generation of defense technology. Sometimes at night, working late in my new office, I look at the complex equations on my whiteboard and smile, remembering Michael's dismissive comments about theoretical abstractions. The same theories are now protecting vital military communications worldwide, saving lives and securing nations. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your opponents. It's about building something so significant that their attempts to diminish you become footnotes in your story of success. And as I review proposals for our next quantum security breakthrough, I think about all the other hidden experts out there, quietly changing the world while others take credit for their work. My door is always open to them now, and my first question in every interview is never about credentials or experience. Instead, I ask, what theories do you believe in that others have dismissed? Because I've learned that the most revolutionary innovations often come from those who were told their ideas were too theoretical, too academic, too impractical. And sometimes, the person they try to dismiss as impractical turns out to be the one who revolutionizes an entire industry. That's not just theory, that's a proven fact.